Hello everybody, my name is Dan Nix. Again, for the millionth, bazillionth time. Crackpot Ministries, hope you're following me. And following me on these chapters. We only got a few more videos of Joshua and we will move on to Judges, I guess. Whew! I feel good. Alright, if you have your Bibles, turn to Joshua chapter 9. We're going to learn about some people called Gibeonites. Not Gideon, but Gibeonites. Or people from Gideon. Excuse me, Gibeon, with a B. First time I read it, I was like, oh, the story of Gideon. Not really. The story of Gibeon. These people... So, all the kings of the west, and I guess it would be southwest in the Promised Land. They heard about everything that the Israelites had done and God had done for them. And the Gibeonites came to Joshua and they said, you know, we're from a far off land. They took some bread and they took dry food. They took old shoes and they looked like they were weary and traveled a long ways. And you may say, well, what was the point of them looking like they came from afar off? You need to refer back to Deuteronomy chapter 20, verses 10 through 20. And Moses gave the law, I'm just going to call it the law of war, where he said, if you need to destroy everything of the Promised Land, every living thing there, destroy it. Nothing left. So these people did not want to come to Joshua and say, we're of the Promised Land living with you, because they were scared of God. And, I mean, they had a reason to. I mean, no doubt about it. I've done the same thing, I'm pretty sure. And, or either I would have packed up and moved off to some other land. That's beside the point. But, the other law, if you were of a far-off city, then the Israelites, they had to proclaim peace. And if you did not want that peace and wanted to go to war, then so be it. You went to war. They killed all the men, but they took the women, the children, and the spoils of that land for themselves and kept it. So, but if you made peace, then you became a servant of Israel. Let's also remember, you may want to refer back to Joshua chapter 5, verses 13 through 15. God, the captain of the host appeared, and he was neither an ally or an adversary of Israel. He was not for Israel, but Israel was for him. Remember, and the Amplified brings out this very well in the expanded edition, one of the commentaries they put as a footnote, that this is God's war. Israel is just simply fighting for God. You know, it's not Israel doing their own little war and God supporting it and being for them. No, this is God's war, and Israel is just a vessel, I guess you could say. So, Gibeon here of all these things, the Gibeonites heard of everything that God has done. They heard of God's great name, and they came in fear and trembling, so much to say that they lied. You know, we're from afar off. We just want to be your servants, man. That's all we want to do. And the Israelites, they did not consult with God. They just said, okay, that's fine with us. Well, you know, peace be with us. We'll save you. You know, we won't kill you. And then they found out that they were actually from the Promised Land. They were living near the Israelites. And the Israelites, you know, Joshua's like, why did you lie to us? Some reason I like the Bible's so weird. You know, they'll ask a question, but you won't get an answer. Like, why did you lie to us? Excuse me, in this specific verse you actually do, in this chapter. Going on a tantrum there. or on a tangent. But they said, we feared God. We've heard of everything He's done. So they come to know about the fear of God, but they do not quite know about the love of God. They heard, the reason why is because they heard what Moses commanded. Moses said, anything in the promised land, destroy it, kill it. The King James says, don't let it, destroy every thing that breatheth. So they had a reason to come and lie, but all they want to do was just be servants. So Joshua calls them cursed. He says, "Cursed you'll be bond servants. The rest of life you'll be woodcutters and water carriers." Now, a bond servant was different from a servant. A servant or bondsman was different from a servant. A servant was more temporary. They considered them as brethren. A bond servant, they considered them as heathen, Gentiles, foreigners, strangers. But if you want to find out more about a bondsman and a servant, you can refer back to Leviticus chapter 25, verses 44 through 46. Now, God also told them to treat bondsmen, they need to respect them and treat them righteously. You can refer back to Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse, I believe it's 18 or 19, somewhere there if I'm not mistaken. I think it's verse 18. He said, "Remember that you were once bondsmen of Egypt." So it's saying, don't treat these people with rigor and rigorously and things like that. So that's I think that's pretty much this chapter, if I'm not mistaken. Gibeon came and they didn't kill them, and they made them into slaves. Folks, come to God as you are. They didn't know that God was about love, but God is about love. Remember, this is God's war. So it wasn't them becoming servants of Israel. Who they were becoming were servants of the one true living God. And they made peace with Israel, and you would come to find out these would be pretty much the only people to make peace with Israel. And how they came by doing it was by lying. We'll move on to Joshua chapter 10, and it's really a continuation of this story and how the other kings react to Gibeon, the people of Gibeon coming to Israel making peace. Thank you, and I'll see you in a little bit.